extending her hospitality.
What do you think, Roy?
Made her own butter.
Right.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Right.
It's going and it's going on. The voice is going on that mic and the
I
picture's
think
going on.
there's butter there now. Mother says, no, there wasn't. It hadn't been churned enough. You have to beat it some more.
She used to get her own cream out of the cows and... That was it. She even killed the chickens, didn't she?
Oh, sure. Well, I don't know. I think
Grandpa gets to be
I
killing.
think Dad.
She did the plucking, though.
Yeah,
Battery
she
lasts
plucked the
half of that?
feathers off and clean it.
She had the hot water.
And then where do you recharge
I don't
it?
think my kids even know how to draw a chicken.
Can you charge it off in the car?
Did you ever do that?
Oh, yes. Carmagee may know how.
Oh.
You know, one thing I think is really interesting about your generation has been the fact that you remember before they had automobiles.
No, no.
No.
Mother remembers that. You don't remember that.
Oh, no.
Maybe your mom remembers that, but you can't quite remember that.
We aren't that ancient.
Well, they had a car in New Mexico, and I was 2 when we moved from New Mexico.
So you never rode in a buggy.
Oh, yeah, sure, when Dad was sick. I rode in the buggy a lot. And I'll never forget when Mother had her teeth pulled. And it was snow on the ground. Clarence took her into the city to get her to go to the dentist. And she came back, and Harold and I were playing outdoors, and we said, yep, she had them pulled because she's spitting blood.
I don't mean they didn't have cars. I mean, did you remember the era where people actually used horses and buggies for travel along with the cars?
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever use a sled in the wintertime?
Oh, yes, we had a sled.
Did you go down Henry Street with the sled?
I suppose we
You
did.
better come to a close. This battery.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, okay. Now we have 2 other members of the Matson clan. Your name is?
Sylvia Larson Seaver.
And how are you related, Sylvia, to the Matsons?
My grandma was a Matson.
Your
Grandma
grandma?
Larson.
And that was Margaret Matson?
That's right.
What do you remember about her? Can you say something that your kids and grandchildren would want to hear about Grandma Larson? You know her pretty well, I think, because you lived pretty close.
She used to sit on the front porch with a little kitten and pet the little kitten. Still have a 4x5 picture of her petting the kitten, Grandma's kitten.
Hey, boy, that's bringing them right up. Hey,
Did
how
you?
about
Taught me
that?
to sew a little
Boy,
bit.
that really
Did she?
got a
She was a sewer?
tell a photo on it.
Did she do any other kind of needlework?
Not that I remember, but she probably did. Not with me, anyway.
More with the lens with that, I think.
I think she remembered how to
Tatting.
crochet, didn't she? She did
Tatted.
crocheted tablecloths.
Tatted a tablecloth for me. I'll give it to you.
Did you go on a vacation once with her, Sylvia, when you were a child? You took her with
Yeah, she went with us. We went to Texas and New Mexico and went and saw the old homestead, what was left of it.
So she had a homestead out west. No one's mentioned that before.
In Texas, yeah.
What did it look like, the area, when you saw it?
It was a big pasture. 2 water tanks left, and that was all. Windmill, I guess. There was 1 windmill.
You could see the old windmill that they used?
They used to pump the water for the cattle.
Was the house foundation there at all?
I guess maybe we did walk down into something that we thought maybe was a smokehouse or something, just some steps down into the ground, but that's all that there was. Tumble down.
Your dad went out there too, I would think. Your dad was Clarence Larson.
Right. We all went as a family, took Grandma with us.
That must have been a wonderful experience for her. How did she feel about seeing no house at all where she used to live? Did it bother her much?
She was thrilled to be just there. We sat on the water tank, or she sat on the water tank, and we took a picture of her, and she didn't even know we took the picture. She was just talking 90 minutes a minute.
Remembering everything? Can you remember anything of what she said about that area? From your husband? This is Naomi Larson.
She just couldn't get over how much it had gone down. That there was part of the screen door was there, and we did bring back a piece of wood from the screen door. I would like to. Where were all those little animals that Grandpa told us
summer, we could take it in the winter. We don't have any prairie dogs. Prairie dogs. We had prairie dog town.
Was the same prairie dog town there that was there when they were children, or it's a new one?
So I just moved.
But he knew the spot your husband did where?
And I think you better cut this off. The sun's getting to my eyes.
Well, we're getting into the interesting part. We're going to go over here. Run.
And wrote up some of the most interesting things and then put it on something like BCR. You'd get the meat of it.
Yeah, well, we're going to just put a little bit on here now. Your name is?
I'm Karma Jane Johnson.
Okay, and how are you related to the Matsons?
Okay, I'm a Lund, and my mother is the daughter of Margaret Matson. And so is my grandma. Oh, yes, very, very well. We lived right next door to Grandma. And so I was the oldest one of the family, and Grandma and I were like this. Very, very dear person.
What would you say about her to let your children know and grandchildren know what she was like as a person?
Oh, my.
How did you treat children?
Miles and miles and miles of history there.
How did you treat children?
Oh, she loved kids, and I guess Grandma and I hit it off especially well because we were always together. From my very earliest recollections, when I was about 2, 3, 4, I used to run back and forth to Grandma's house a lot, and I always helped her when she was doing anything around the house. She included us and taught us a lot of things. And then went to Mission Circle with her before I even went to school, and she always used to go to, with Mrs. Hart, around to the schools on release time for Bible club and evangelism classes. And before I could go to school, I went with her and made all these rounds. They maybe went to 6 or 8 different schools during the course of a week, and that was really fun for me when I was real tiny.
She must have really liked children to go teach children. She taught Sunday
yeah.
school too?
Yes, oh yes, a lot. And she always did the singing and Bible verse type thing. And then Mrs. Hart, she and Mrs. Hart were partners in going to the schools and so on. Mrs. Hart would always give the Bible lessons.
It always seemed to me like she was a very
Very good.
enthusiastic person. She'd get excited about the littlest things that you'd bring in, some flowers or whatever you do.
Yeah.
She'd
She was always interested in anything we kids were doing.
Right.
Wow. And I remember one time that she took a nap every afternoon, laid down, and she would sleep maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes at the most, and then that was her nap for the day, and she'd be up and ready to go. Well, someone had been out, maybe Uncle Clary or whatever, with a sickle mower and had cut down a lot of hay. In the course of doing that, a blue racer had been injured. And so we carted that blue racer home because it was still wiggling in hopes that maybe the thing would become alive. While Grandma was sleeping, we sneaked in through the kitchen and got the Scotch tape.
And the bandages,
And it was
Carm.
the
We had
old
both.
cellophane Scotch tape, and we wrapped up that
We
poor
used
snake.
all her bandages too.
And we thought sure we had saved the snake and it would come alive again. But when sundown came, a snake dies, and that was the end of the snake.
I remember that. I remember her waking up and finding we'd used all her bandages on a dead snake.
And the corn crib. Don't
She
you
wasn't
remember
so
being
happy
in the
about
corn
that.
crib? Oh, we played house in that silly corn crib, and the boys would peek in through the slats, and we'd get so
Buffet.
mad.
They'd always
Oh, yeah. And then sometimes we'd let them play house with us, and Roger and Marshall and Cliff and me and you. And boy, it seems like we used to think up the craziest things. But when the boys played, we never got along all that well. We always used to have fights.
Do you remember Grandma and flies, how much she loved it when we'd open the door and let all the flies in?
Ooh, the fluger! And she'd get that swatter and go to it.
When we were children, we used to like to go in and out, and there were 2 doors, and we thought that was neat, the side
Yeah.
door and the back door.
Oh, we'd
You
run
go
in and out one
door
and
and
out
out the other.
Or out the front door.
You had to go in and
Of
out
course.
25 times in the morning at least, or you were
Oh,
bored,
yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
And I never could understand why she was so upset about flies. Did you quite understand that?
No, it was just, ooh, the fluger.
She'd get really nervous about that. And then my mother mentioned that they had the open manure piles in the back, and she wasn't too eager to have the flies coming from the manure piles up to the... remember the old...
Yeah,
what kind
yeah.
of bathroom did she have?
Oh dear, see the Sears and Roebuck catalog kind. We'd hammer that door down. That was a 3-holer.
Remember
Yeah.
that?
Oh, it's a 3-holer. It
Very
had
sociable.
yeah. Oh yes. And we always, all 3 holes would be filled many times, and we'd carry on all our conversation, read through the catalogs and everything else out
You
there.
know what I used to think of when I was out there with the 3 holes? I used to always think about Daddy Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear.
The one was a little one, down low for the smog.
I thought it was so neat to have a Mama Bear, Daddy Bear, and Baby Bear bathroom. I mean, no one else had
And
it.
over at the Lund household, when the bathroom was busy, when there was company, or even just any other time, why, if it was busy, you'd run next door to Grandma's, because there was 3 holes there. You could get one of them.
And you could sit and talk. You know, I think that made me very sociable about bathrooms. You remember that, Sylvia? The 3 holes.
The only thing, I just pitied Grandpa when he had to clean the thing.
True, Grandpa ended up having to do all the cleaning.
Yeah.
And I remember all the animals they used to have. I guess no one mentioned that Grandma had a lot of animals.
Oh, I remember them slaughtering pigs. I remember when Uncle Clary still lived home, and they had pigs hanging up outside the barn, all split down, and they were
Saw that?
Oh yeah, didn't you see that? And then they had smokehouse, and they would smoke, and then Grandma would make head cheese, and I think she really made it out of the head back then.
Oh my
And
goodness.
Uncle Clary would come home from work, and he'd call, come boss, come boss, come boss, and the cows would be good by the time he got there.
He married later in life, so we remember him when he lived at home
Yeah, that was
with all
fun.
the children. He was a good tease too.
Yeah, oh yeah. He
How
was
about
good
the
with
hay?
kids. Oh, haying, oh my. And Grandma always had fresh grape juice that she had gotten off from the grapevines out there, and then they would can it, and then when it come hay time, she'd chill that down real cold, and we kids always had the job of taking fresh canned grape juice out there to those that were doing the haying, and we'd ride back on the
gets
big
up a
hay
ways,
wagon and about fall off with the
He's
whole
coming
thing
up
into
the
the
sidewalk
ditch.
with his daughter on his
Yeah,
shoulders,
that's
her husband.
I think he's running out. You running out of tape
Okay.
now a little bit?
Catch him when he gets in the sun over
Still
there,
getting
Ron.
her? Ron, are you still getting
No,
her?
that's enough of me. Get somebody else.
Oh, you've got a lot of memories.
Right there.
Oh, listen, I
Here
can
we have,
fill
yeah,
a
you
book.
get the rest of them. I'm not going to do any more interviewing. Ron,
Yes.
why don't you go around and just kind of get pictures of people now? Because I'm interviewing for an hour. I am the interviewer. And beside me here is a character. This is a blonde Nagu, and I am related to the Matsons because Grandma was Margaret Matson. And this lady we've been interviewing is my first cousin and my best friend from my childhood, because I would come up every summer and spend my summertime playing with my cousin Carm at Grandma Larson's.
And they would have their daughter and granddaughter. And they would house in the house. Well, I can see them get crowded. We saw them when she called, I said, oh, I said, Margaret was just telling me that you were going to be in that caravan. Oh, yeah, it was all and the next day, we were there. Well, they came to your house. If you're going to Barrington, you don't want